as I mentioned and we talked about earlier, this industry has changed pretty dramatically from when you first arrived and when you first became familiar. I mean, there were, I don't know how many mills there were in 1990, but there were a lot of them, and there's relatively few now. And the mills, the carpet mills, the members of the CRI are now major players in every variety of floor covering, just about. Mohawk, according to their last conference call, does 40% of its overall volume, dollars and cents wise, in carpet, and it's 60% in hard surface. That has certainly changed the equation. I don't know what the percentage is at Shaw, but it's, you know, it has changed, and they're not 100% carpet anymore as they were when you came here. That's changed the equation, and it's changed, or I guess my question to you, how has it changed the advocacy aspects of the CRI?
Well, first of all, when I came here in 2000, the vast majority of consolidations that had already occurred. You know, I mean, I've heard about, 200 mills,
Yeah.
but the manufacturing membership, we have the three categories. One is manufacturing member. That has only changed, in a very minor way over the 14 years I've been here. I think.
Well, that's why I went back to the 1990.
Yeah. Well,
but what has changed is they were primarily carpet companies at that point, and now they're certainly not even primarily, for one anyway.
Yeah. Well, and again, there are certainly a significant number of my members who are in both hard surface and soft surface, although we still have quite a few members that are only in soft surface. Now, I think the question you're trying to get at is, how has that change impacted on CRI? And I can tell you with an absolutely straight face that when the CEOs come to this building for board meetings or for meetings of the policy committee of the board, their focus is on soft floor covering. At their core, they are still soft floor covering people. And that's not to say that, that from a business perspective, they don't want to be successful in all those various types. But I think my sense of it is that when decisions are made, they're made for the betterment of soft floor covering. And I think that's a real tribute to every one of those guys, that they, are still dedicated to ensuring that soft floor covering has its market share, both residentially and commercially.
I gotcha. What are you most proud of that's occurred during your tenure here as president of the CRI?
Well, I know what the answer to that is. I'm searching for how to say it without trying to sound too self-serving. I just recently have gone around and said my private farewells to the members of the CRI board that I've had, the longest tenure with, David. And what they told me is what I'm going to tell you. They all recognize that being the president of a trade association and having 200 people who are your boss is not an easy job. But I guess my greatest sense of pride is that we've been able to work on the issues like I talked about previously, and there have been a number of opportunities where a company had a vested position on an issue that was perhaps different from a business perspective than the perspective that you would take from the entire industry perspective. And I think we collectively have been very good at putting the industry's well-being ahead of the well-being of an individual company. And whatever small part I had in that, I feel proud of that, and I think I'm proud of the fact that the board members recognize that. So I know that probably sounds a little self-serving, but and I'm trying not to make it that way, because if there was not a willingness on the part of the companies to put the industry's well-being ahead of, in some cases, of their own company, and then nobody could have done it. So it was really a shared benefit.
Well, it does seem like the carpet industry certainly is a different type of an industry than most, I think, and whether that's everybody or most living in proximity of each other, it seems to be a closer knit industry than most. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd probably even go farther than that. I mean, if you looked at the various CEOs, and you looked at what institute of higher learning they came from, the vast majority of them were right here in the state of Georgia. And if you broke that down even further, a lot of them, traced their roots back to Georgia Tech. So yeah. I know that a lot of them, were in school together or in fraternities together. So, that does create a sense of camaraderie, even though in the marketplace they are, intense competitors. When I see them, talking and joking up in the boardroom before the meeting starts, they're friends, and I can see that. And again, that's the sort of thing that promotes the spirit of teamwork, because they do know each other. They are either friends or friendly with one another. So I think that is a strength of this industry, and especially the leadership of the industry. So I think you're right. You're exactly right.
Another aspect, you came down here, I don't know how many times you've been in Dalton before you had an opportunity to accept this job and live here, but I mean, this is your home. You're going to stay here now that you retire. Mm-hmm. This has been an important place to you, hasn't it?
Oh, in fact, I had not been in Dalton very much before that. I mean, in my job as Health and Environmental Affairs Manager for Dow, one of the products I was responsible for was latex. And so I made, some visits down to the latex facility, working on their health and environmental issues. But had really not spent a lot of time in Dalton. But one of the reasons I put my name in the hat was actually the city of Dalton.
Really?
My wife and I, when we were first married, lived in Midland, and in many ways, Midland is a lot like Dalton, where in Midland's case, it's a one or one and a half industry town between Dow and Dow Corning, where Dalton was at that time, at least it was, pretty much exclusively a carpet town. And it was almost exactly the same size. It was about 35,000 people. And at that time, I was living in Northern Virginia. And my wife and I were looking forward to getting back into a small town environment. And it has been a wonderful, wonderful 14 years of living here. Small digression. In fact, I really started thinking about retirement about a year and a half ago, when we had rented a penthouse condominium over in Hilton Head, and loved this place, absolutely loved it. And I made the comment to my wife. I said, I could see retiring here, not just in Hilton Head, but this exact condominium. And she said, okay. So we're going to move out of Midland, where we have all our friends. We've become, part of the fabric of the community, and we're going to move to Hilton Head. And as I started thinking about that, I thought, you know what? She's exactly right. We're part of this community. We intend to be part of this community going forward. We have lots of plans, some of which I've already put in place that will help fill my idle hours.
Talk about that. Now, you're not going to seek a second career. You're not going to become a consultant like so many other people.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've had, a number of people ask me, whether I was interested in consulting, and my answer is no. For all kinds of reasons, but I have really no interest in that at this point. Now, once I start laying around in my bathrobe, as you said before we got on the air, that might change at some point. But at this point, I really have no interest in that. But what I do have a lot of interest in is getting re-engaged in a lot of the charitable boards I've been on over the course of the last 14 years. You know my story. I mean, my family and I immigrated to the United States in 1949, and my parents didn't speak a word of English, had 3 suitcases to their names, or to their 3 suitcases of goods is all they owned. And through hard work and dedication, and the opportunities that this country presented to my parents, I can't think of another family that would have more of a realization of the American dream than was offered to us as an opportunity here in the States. The outcome of that was, I've felt, it was very important to me to pay back the community and the country that has been so good to me and my family, and so I've been very involved in a lot of boards until recently. And when my younger children got into high school, I had to back out a lot of the boards I had worked on previously because of family commitments, and also the change in structure of my job here at CRI. But I've already talked to a bunch of those organizations and said, if you need some help, I'm going to have a little free time. So for sure that's going to be a significant portion.
And that's all it takes is, hey, a little help. I'm sure the phone has been ringing ever since.
Well, I'm sure I will have opportunities in that area. And in addition to that, my wife has a list about this long of honey-go-dos for our lake house and here in Dalton. So I'm sure that'll keep me off the streets as well.
I gotcha. Let me just ask you in closing to sum up your time here, what that's meant to you, and I know you've talked a lot about that, not only the town, but just the industry, the people, and there's a lot of people that you've had an opportunity to work with in the industry in your 14 years here. Just sum up that.
Well, I'll leave the bottom line to the end of my remarks, but it's been a wonderful opportunity. I mean, we've met so many fabulous people here and made lots and lots of good friends. And the interesting thing is, to me, is how warm and genuine the people of this community are. I've always been struck by the fact, when you walk down Hamilton Street and you pass somebody, you nod your head, you say hello, how you doing? That would never happen, north of the Mason-Dixon line. And so I really like the atmosphere and the culture here. I talked about making friends because of the way we've rotated around the chairmanship of the CRI. It's provided me the opportunity to really meet and get a better working relationship with all of the CEOs of the mills. But what's also happened is I've gotten to be very good friends with a lot of those board members outside the job. So that's been very, very gratifying. But I'll leave you with this message. And I spoke this sentence when I retired from Dow in 1998, and I'm going to say it again at my farewell party next week. I feel truly blessed in that not one time in my professional career have I got up in the morning and said, hell, I got to go to work. And I hope that my family, my kids, that they all, get to that point. And I wish it for everybody, because, there's nothing worse in life, from my perspective, than if you're in a job that you hate. And I've been truly blessed in having a successions of jobs at Dow, and then the Chlorine Chemistry Council, and here, that have provided me the opportunity to do really interesting things, provided me with challenges that stretched me intellectually, and that's how I will sum up my 14 years here at CRI.
Gotcha. Well, let me wish you the very best in your retirement. And I'm sure most people tell me after they retire, I thought I was going to have some time to, kick back, and they seem to be busier sometimes in their retirement. I'm sure you'll be telling me the same thing.
Well, I'm sure my handicap will come down from its current 15.
That's good. That's good. Well, and I'm also glad that you're young enough to enjoy it, and I think that's an important aspect.
I'm going to be 69 the 29th of this month, so I'm not sure how young that is, but I'm still in pretty good health.
Well, it's still young enough to enjoy it, and I'm sure you will. And it's been great having the opportunity to interview you once a month here, and I hope we can do some of that as we go forward.
Well, Dave, I've said this to you before, and I'll say it again. I've really appreciated my relationship with you. I've appreciated the opportunity for you to give us a forum where we can talk about CRI and the carpet industry. And you do an incredible job at what you do, and I wish you all the best as you go forward.
Well, thank you very much. And again, good luck on your retirement.
Thank you.
We've been talking with Werner Braun, the president of the CRI, soon to be retired president of the CRI. And this is Talk Floor TV.